I had a great first date recently. And then a second good date. And it ended with, do you want to go out again next week? Yeah, I'd like that. You know what? I'll plan it and get back to you. And then, nothing. I was ghosted. This wasn't the first time, but it did surprise me because from the very little time I had spent with him, I felt we had great communication and even chemistry. But a few good hours with someone does not a relationship make. In our current society of dating apps and hookups and a pandemic, ghosting is happening more than ever. We ghost for many reasons. Maybe you don't feel like you have the communication skills to have an open and honest conversation. Maybe because you think the other person will react badly to rejection. Or maybe the idea of confrontation causes you to feel crippling anxiety. Or perhaps because you actually think ghosting is the kind or polite thing to do to not hurt the other person's feelings. Me not responding is actually doing them a favor. Regardless of why we might ghost someone, studies have shown it can have negative consequences on our mental health. If you've been ghosted, the sense of rejection and confusion about the situation can become overwhelming. The lack of clarity of not knowing why communication stopped can cause us to come up with hundreds, if not thousands, of scenarios in our head, all the while placing blame on ourselves and wondering, what did I do to deserve this? Experiencing ghosting repeatedly can even affect us long term, as we potentially become more mistrusting or paranoid, which sabotages future relationships. And there's also negatives for the ghoster. If you're the one frequently ghosting, you're potentially stunting your own personal growth if ghosting becomes a habit and the only way you know how to deal with people. Over the long term, this is going to drive people away once they realize that you're not able to communicate openly and honestly. However, there is a simple solution. Tell the person you don't want to keep seeing them. I know, scary, but let me try and give a few tips on how to make it easier and how to do it with kindness. Here's an example of a text I received after a first date. Hi Scott, I had a really nice time with you at dinner and it was great to chat. To be completely honest with you, I didn't feel a strong connection and would prefer not to go out again. Thank you for a nice date and I wish you well. Now, that wasn't what I wanted to receive, but I have to respect his feelings and I was grateful for the communication. So I responded, I appreciate you letting me know. I had a really great time with you as well and I hope our paths cross again in the future. And even though this didn't turn into a relationship, I was actually left with feelings of assurance and satisfaction that I found someone who was mature and communicative. And for me, that makes me feel like I'm spending my time on men that do have some of the qualities I value, even if it wasn't the one. Here's another one I received from a guy after a first date. I would rather not have another date. A little harsher and to the point, but again, I responded with, I appreciate you letting me know, thank you. I've been the one to turn down a date with someone, and fortunately, I've not had anyone lash out at me. If anything, I think we all just appreciate being told, even if it's not something we want to hear. I know dating can be scary and nerve-wracking and overwhelming. Putting ourselves out there to let other people potentially reject us takes a lot of courage. But if we could all be a little kinder and a little more communicative when it comes to the other person, we can avoid these potentially future negative consequences and set ourselves up for success for when we do meet the right person. That's it for this video. If you could do me a favor and like the video and subscribe to my channel, I would be very grateful. Until next time, be kind to yourself. See you soon.